All right, welcome to Just Boxing Live. We are here at Sweet Science Boxing Gym in Hawthorne, California. As always, I'm your host, Sean Fitzgerald, and with me, lead writer for Supreme Boxing, the co-host of Just Boxing Live, Anthony Stacks Saldana. What's going on, Stacks?
Man, we got a full house in here today.
Just about
a full house.
I think this is the most people we've ever had up here. We only did this one other time that I can recall.
I think so, man.
Only this setup is better. We're not all in a straight line looking up and down the table. But we got a lot of guests here to introduce. What's going on? Everybody ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right. I'll start down here to my far right. We have Eduardo Diaz, 2-0 with 1 KO. He will be featured on October 12th, Red Boxing Promotions card at Pico Rivera Sports Arena. Welcome, Eduardo Diaz.
Thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you. Happy to have you. To my immediate left, we have promoter of all types of things, but mostly of dreams. Rey Rodis, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. And marketing for Red Boxing Promotions, Melody Doria.
Media.
Marketing, media.
Marketing is Janae.
Marketing is Janae. My apologies to Janae. She'll be here in a little bit. I'll apologize to her in person. I didn't get everybody's titles. I feel disappointed. I'm off on a bad note.
Don't worry. I'll correct you.
Thank you.
Not to worry.
I know you guys, this is what I believe to be your last stop on the podcast tour in preparation for October 12th at Pico Rivera Sports Arena, where we have an action-packed, star-studded evening planned. Tell us about what you expect, Ray, for October 12th.
Well, in a fight point of view, it's going to be a great fight. We have great match. The both sides are ready. We don't have a match that has been matched for 3 days or a week. They have been the opponents have been given enough time to prepare themselves, so there's no more excuse for this to fight. Our main goal here is to give the fight to the people. We want to give the people the fight they want. We want to give the people, they paid $55 on a ticket. We want to give them $100 worth of ticket view or experience. So we brought in a lot of celebrities. Sugar Ray Leonard is coming to the show. Jake Paul and Logan Paul is coming to the show. Chris Brown might come, and Snoop Dogg, Layla Ali, and
you can't even remember them all.
Yeah,
exactly.
No.
Ray J and Princess Love.
Will Eddie Murphy be there?
Eddie Murphy might be there if he's not shooting.
Yeah, because don't you have his nephew fighting on the card?
Yes.
Braden Lynch.
A lot of people fighting on that card, including, of course, Eduardo, but we have Adelaida Ruiz, who's also been a guest on this show, and Ronald Johnson, I believe, is the headliner.
Yes, Ronald Johnson is a star in a few years back with Don King. So when he was doing boxing, he learned business. So he kind of stopped boxing for a while. Now he's ready to come back for boxing and take over the heavyweight division.
And Ronald Johnson will be in a rematch of a 2017 bout against Sergio Ramirez. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he is trained by Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Ron Johnson is trained by Floyd Mayweather Sr., and you will have the opportunity to also see Floyd Mayweather Sr. at the fight.
Yeah, you can see many videos of Ronald Johnson doing that famous pad work with Floyd Mayweather. That's that's what he did. Devin Haney, everybody, they do pad work with Floyd.
I mean, in my own humble opinion, I think Ronald Johnson is the fastest heavyweight hitter right now. I'm not saying he's the most powerful puncher, but he's just fast.
Very fast. Red Boxing is, of course, an international promotion. You promote fights in the Philippines, here in the United States. You did a fight, I believe, earlier this year in Mexico.
Yeah, we did July 27th in Mexico. And we are also, Red Boxing is not a club promotion or local promotion here in California. We have done shows in the Philippines. We have done shows in Mexico. We have done shows here in Los Angeles. And we are already in talks in New York and Texas. We are also going to move by July next year. We're going to try Brunei.
Okay.
For a very big fight. We can't announce that yet.
Did we hold on? Did we just break something? Did we break a story here?
Yes, you did.
On Just Boxing Live?
There we go, man. Breaking
an
news.
exclusive.
An exclusive. A fight in Brunei.
Fight on, yeah.
You'll be able to say you were the first.
Here we go.
There we go, yeah.
I had to put that one out there. So an international promotion, and one of the things that I appreciate about your promotion is the production value that you put into a lot of the content that you're producing, whether it be the fights themselves or just kind of like the flyers, the graphics, the video content that you put out. And I imagine that some of that has to do with your experience producing other types of content, such as films, music, and things like that.
Yeah, yes, it does. If you look at our poster right now, it's colored blue. The reason it's blue because it signifies Los Angeles and the Dodgers in LA. So in the film business, we make posters here in America, and we make different posters in Europe, and we make different colored poster in Asia. It's just how people react to it.
And you talk about leveraging that background. I would also say that there may be an impression to some that your background is more in the entertainment industry than it is in boxing. And I think it's because there's a certain level of confidence and character that you portray, plus the fact that we know you're a movie producer, you produce music, but you actually have a rich family history in boxing. And I'm going to run down some of these. You can tell me if I get them right or wrong here. Going all the way back to the 1960s.
Yes.
Your grandfather was a promoter from 1960 to 1987 in the Philippines. Your uncle, Rene Barrientos, was a WBC World Super Featherweight Champion.
Yeah, the first WBC.
The first WBC World Super
Filipino.
Featherweight Champion. Okay. Your father was a promoter from 1982 to 1994. You yourself are a promoter, of course. And lastly, your uncle had some involvement with the Games and Amusement Board in the Philippines, which is essentially the sanctioning or governing body of boxing in the Philippines, correct?
Yes, my uncle is the head of the sanctioning body in Mindanao. That is one of the largest islands in the Philippines from 1992 to 2010.
So you are a third generation, at the very least, member of the boxing community.
Yes, we are. I am a third generation of experienced boxing promoter, and we manage fights way back when as well, not just in promotions.
Now I know that your uncle is involved in. We mentioned he was a WBC World Super Featherweight Champion. I've seen some videos and stuff like that on Instagram of you in the ring, working around either in the mitts, the bag. Do you still get around with these young guys? You still train?
I stopped training for a while because I've been busy. We have a lot of activities lately. We've been doing promotion every month since April. And, I just launched a movie. We just premiered October 1st in Hollywood. Then we just released three albums. We just dropped 3 albums at my studio.
You just dropped 3 albums?
Yes.
You dropped 3 albums or you produced 3 albums?
No, we
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we produced.
You might be a hip-hop
He
artist,
sings
too.
too.
Yeah, we have an hip-hop artist, Killing Lyrics. It's, his music is available on iTunes and all platforms. We have a Filipino artist, April Boy Regino.
Shout out to Against the Ropes for jumping on the chat. I appreciate you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the fights. Eduardo, you're going to be fighting on a Red Boxing card. Is this your first outing with Red Boxing Promotions?
It's actually my second.
Okay.
I was with them on June 15th.
Okay, at Pico Rivera Sports Arena.
Yeah, also there.
And what can you tell me about your opponent this time around?
He has he's more experienced than me. I only got my 2 fights, and then I know his record was 3-3 with 2 draws.
Yeah, it looks like Vicente Morales 3-3-2.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of his fights?
Not really, but we've just been working on being an all-around fighter to be able to adjust to anything that he presents in the first round.
That's a good point, because at this stage, sometimes, depending on where your opponent comes from and what their background is, there may not be a lot of video or tape of those types of fights. So what types of things do you do to prepare stylistically for that matchup?
A lot of sparring. So we had good sparring. Well, we have good sparring at my gym, which is TG Boxing. And then we've been going to Legends at Maywood. So just getting all different kinds of styles for sparring too. And then also my coaches. That's when I do mistakes in sparring, right after sparring, all my coaches get on me, what to be working on for next time when we go spar. I'm able to just look better than my last performance.
Is Rudy your coach?
Well, I don't like just to say one. It's we all have a team So like Rudy, we got Danny, Omar, and my strength and conditioning coach which is Carlos.
So that's the same gym that Diego Pacheco's out
Yeah.
of and Rudy Garcia, right?
Yeah.
So how many rounds have you put in with Ray? No, I'm just kidding. Do you guys spar? Do you spar the people on the promotion?
No.
No, you don't spar the people on the promotion?
They might get knocked out, you know.
I know, he was
Bad.
beating me up. He was showing me
Not
he was
too
showing me a
bad.
thing or two before the show started. My ribs still hurt. I one time let someone from the show punch me for fans. Yeah, it hurt.
Bad choice.
That's all I'll say. Yeah, look, see, she's still laughing. She's still laughing about it. I'm
All
not
right.
going to let you punch me. I'm sorry, bro.
That's all good.
Question for you, Ray. So you started this promotional company out here in Los Angeles. You started bringing the Red International Boxing to Los Angeles a few years ago. But with Asia being such a big market, with China having over 1 billion people in it, why not tap into that Asian market, such as Indonesia, such as China, Thailand, and places of that nature? Why come to Los Angeles?
No, because, the world knows that this is the modern Rome. All road comes to Los Angeles or the United States. So in order for us to build, we have a reputation of 59 years in boxing experience. Yet our name is only cemented in Indonesia, cemented in Thailand, Japan, Korea, and Philippines. So in order for me to bring good fights, great fights, is I have to build something here in the United States for them to see that there is an Asian ally that they can rely when the time comes, when their fighters are ready.
I think this is something that came to mind when you were mentioning all the good sparring you get, which is that I don't know that you can get better sparring anywhere else in the world than in Los Angeles. It's such a hotbed for boxing in the sense that we have more events, per capita than anywhere else in the United States for sure, and quite possibly in the world. And some of the most talented fighters in the world navigate here.
Exactly. And, like what we're doing right now, we have Red Boxing is bringing 6 fighters from Asia by January. We will have Asian champions coming in. So what does that do to boxing? I'm not just going to keep them on Red Boxing. I'm going to share them with Golden Boy. I'm going to share them with Top Rank. I'm going to share them with PBC. That if they want to. Because we want to work with everybody. Red Boxing is here not to compete with anybody. We have to understand the core purpose of Red Boxing is that we are not here to fight against each other. We're not here to compete against each other. We are here to fight against poverty, to help these kids find their future and build their dreams.
Now, with that being said, a lot of your fighters right now here in Los Angeles that you're promoting, that you guys are marketing, that you guys are having fight on these shows in Pico Rivera are that of the Latino community. So now you're not just tapping into a market that you're familiar with, but you're also tapping into a big market here in Southern California, which is the Latinos.
Because the Latino community are the best people in the world. I just found that out.
He met me. That's what happened.
And, you actually did promote a show in Mexico earlier this year as well.
We did,
right?
because we want to open our doors everywhere. The reason for that is, look, we have fights. We are recycling opponents all the time. We do. Let's be honest, I mean, a guy fight for this promotion, he gets an opponent fight for this promotion, he fights again for this promotion. You know what that does do to our sport that we so love and spend time here on a Sunday? It's going to destroy it. Look, that guy is fighting the guy who just lost from the other promotion. So what we are trying to do is to bring fighters from Mexico, bring fighters in Indonesia, bring fighters in the Philippines and in India. And in order to do that, we have a promotional company in the Philippines where we invite Indonesian fighters to fight in the Philippines, Indian fighters to fight in the Philippines. So we kind of give them a chance to showcase their talent first, even before we send them here. If they beat a Filipino, we send that Indonesian here. If an Indian guy beats an Indonesian, we send that Indian guy here. And we have already sent out over 10 invitations all over the world, in Indonesia, in India, and in Philippines.
So you mentioned some of the problems that we have with boxing in terms of recycling opponents. I've heard you say one of the other problems we have is what you referred to as the Mayweather Syndrome. This is where young fighters are afraid essentially to lose their status, to lose the zero, right? And you also, when it came to making fights, you had this quote that I heard from another interview, which is, imagine if Muhammad Ali did not fight Joe Frazier, which is kind of the landscape that we're facing now. Would you agree?
I would agree. That's a reason Red Boxing team. We are a team. Red Boxing is not Rey Rodis. Red Boxing is Melody Doria, Marvin Rodriguez, Janae, Ruben, Ramiro, Mel. We are Red Boxing. Byron, Anil. We are Red Boxing. It is not identified to one person alone. We work towards the future to give these fighters the best fight in their lives. We're trying to build a champion for the people and not just a paper champion where they fight bumps for 10 fights. Then at the end of the day, we have I'm sorry, I have to say this, but we will have another situation with Mr. Gonzalez, Chimpa. You know, I'm sorry if I mentioned that. But, you know.
When he fought Duno.
Yeah, when he fought Romero Duno, because when you baby a fighter, you spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to baby him. If he can't fight now, how do you expect him to fight when he's 15-0? Give him the best fight of his life. And that is the challenge of Angel El Moreno Rodriguez right now. Because Angel El Moreno Rodriguez, Red Boxing sees him as a future of boxing at 135. But the people do not see that, so the pressure is on him right now. The pressure is on him because he has less amateur record, but this kid can bang. So Angel is a different fighter. We gave him a fight that he can beat, and he said, no, I want someone that can fight with me. That is the type of fighter we want, because that is the type of fighter we want to allow people to pay for the tickets. You're not going to give them $55 ticket and it's just going to get knocked out in like 30 seconds. That's not fair. That's not fair for the fans. That's not fair for the family. That's not fair for everybody.
I agree with you to an extent, and I'll tell you what. I think maybe the first 15 fights, you shouldn't set your fighter up to lose. You should have him fight measuring sticks where you can measure and he can progress as a fighter, still get that win, but fix any issues that he may have before actually throwing him into a real tough competition to see exactly what level he's at. If you feel, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, is that if you have a fighter and you think he has that potential, of course, you don't want him to lose, but you want to correct any mistakes that you guys may not see in the gym. Put him in against a southpaw. Put him in against maybe somebody shorter, somebody taller. Different types of things that you're not going to see in the gym that you can correct. And then at 12-0, 13-0, then you set him up with another top prospect, and let's see if this kid can really bang or not. And then you go from there. But that's my personal opinion there.
No, I believe in what you said. We're not going to put him with a world-rated fighter. We're going to put him someone he can match with, someone he can challenge himself, not someone who trains 45 days and knows he just knocked the opponent in 30 seconds.
Exactly.
You know?
I think there's two things that come to mind when you talk about this. The first thing is something I've said on here before, which is that combat sports are unique in that there's no requirement to be good to participate in them. So meaning all you have to do is pass the exam. If you could pass the exam, we will let you fight. In any other sport, if you want to play basketball at a professional level, you have to be the best in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's true for baseball or any other sport. In boxing, you take a PE test. You know what I mean? If you can pass the PE test, then we let you box, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's sometimes I think people take advantage of that in terms of building fighters against a less than quality opposition or opposition that doesn't really stand a legitimate threat or doesn't pose a legitimate threat to their up-and-coming fighter. So, yeah, there's elements of they need to see different styles stylistically in order to prepare. But something that I've heard Ray say is they shouldn't be in the ring with a cadaver.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
With no
Especially
heartbeat.
with the amount of amateur fights that they can have. Like, that's unlimited. They don't have to turn pro at 18. There's no reason why they shouldn't have opposition, because there's tons of amateur bouts that you can go to. I had no idea about amateur boxing. I didn't focus on that. That wasn't anything I had until we started. And then I started going to amateur bouts with Coach Diaz in Indio. Oh my gosh, there's so many, tons and tons of fighters that, oh my gosh, and all day those events go on.
Exactly. You know, and another thing too, though, for fans, you know, that do go to these shows, and not just necessarily Red, but any shows where you have these young prospects coming up. Sometimes prospects, like, you know, Malady said, they're in the amateurs. They have 300, 400 amateur fights. You know, some of these, Lomachenko, for instance, they're on the next level. So when they jump into the professional level, they're expected to fight top level competition. Mm-hmm. Take Ryan Garcia, for instance, right? He is a 15-time national champion, right? He shouldn't be fighting these kids from TJ that they know he's going to knock out in the first round. As he stepped up and as his name got bigger, as he got more victories under his belt, it's his responsibility to fight these better type fighters. It doesn't matter to me how many asses he puts in the seats, how many tickets he sells. As a boxing fan, I want to see him, knowing that he's that top level competition, I want to see him take that next step and fight top level competition. I don't care about the tickets he sells. I want to see him fight somebody.
I do think there's a little bit of some nomenclature problems with amateur boxing, where you hear a lot of people, they kind of tout that national champion thing. And really it matters what level you're talking about in terms of a national championship. Like, there's a youth national champion, which is very different from being an open division national champion.
Correct.
Then there's people who compete, you know, predominantly in their home state, people who compete nationally, and people who compete internationally. And there's a big difference or discrepancy in levels in terms of somebody who's good enough to go and compete internationally and someone who was perhaps a youth national champion multiple times, because they're fighting people who aren't grown men.
And
there's kind of a big difference between that.
There is a difference, but Sean, you and I both know, for people that follow boxing, when you have these top-level amateurs coming up, we all know who they are. We know who these kids that are going to be making the Olympic trials, and who these kids that are winning the Golden Gloves in these international tournaments. Yeah. We know who they are. They're not. It's not a secret, because every manager and every promotion company is after them.
But that's in the United States alone. That's why we have to open the door from the East to have competitions to their level as well, because we do have amateurs in the Philippines or in any parts of Asia that are also international stars. You know, we had Zhao Shiming at one point. He was an international amateur star.
Gold medalist.
Gold medalist. So, you know, these are the things that we would like to introduce to the United States.
And I will say one more thing on your comment about the matchups for Red Boxing, and something that I repeated on here a number of times, is it doesn't take great fighters to make great fights. So even people who are young in their career that are still developing, what it takes is a great matchup. A great matchup makes a great fight. Like Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward were not the top of their division at any point in their career. They made a great fight because they were well matched. And that's kind of the gist of I think any matchmaking. It takes well-matched events.
It does, and I commend Ray for what you're doing and for what Red Boxing is doing, because there's so much talent, like you said, not just in Southeast Asia and just in Asia and Indonesia, but so much talent in South America, in Colombia, in Nicaragua, and Mexico that we don't see, right? Because people like Golden Boy, people like Top Rank will take prospects that have a name that can sell tickets. For instance, there's fighters that have come up through these promotional companies that they know are going to sell 150 or 200 tickets, right? So they put them on their show when they honestly don't have the same talent as some of these other hungry young kids. It's just that the fact that it's sad that it's a business to a lot of these bigger promotional companies, and that's okay. I understand it's a business, and there's nothing wrong with making money, but that's why I'm saying I commend you for giving these other young kids an opportunity to build up their name in the boxing ring and not just on social media. So I commend you for that, Ray.
Because our concern is not ticket sales. Our concern is not getting a lot of sponsors. That will come, you know. Ticket sales, sponsorship, TV, that will come. You just have to give the fight back to the people. It's the people. You know, why does Manny Pacquiao, Muhammad Ali, they're the champion of the people, hands down. He was in Zaire. People follows him everywhere, and he wasn't the champion. He was the challenger at that time. So if we bring the fight to the people, we give them a chance to see a great fight. We give a great matchup. It is the people to decide to go to your fight or not. So with Red Boxing, this is our message we're trying to send across the globe. We want to bring the best fights out there. So it is for the people to decide to support Red Boxing. Red Boxing cannot do this on our own. We are just a handful of people. But if we have the people, the media behind us, we will be able to bring boxing back to its old days.
And it's good that you're opening up and talking about this. I'm glad you're on today, and I'm glad that you are explaining what Red Boxing is, because I honestly feel, me personally, I know. But as a boxing fan, if I take myself and I look at it as a boxing fan from the outside, right, you look like any other promotional company throwing club fights together when people don't know who you are. And that, like Sean said earlier, that's the furthest from the truth. He's 3 generations deep of boxing promotion. If you listen to his story, he has a good story. It's not about the popularity of Instagram and selling these tickets and getting people there to give them a show that is going to end in the first round with the knockout. These are hungry kids that he's putting into the ring to get them exposure and giving them good fights so they can learn. If you are a boxing fan in Southern California, you can't miss this show next Saturday. He's going to have everybody there. He's going to have stars there. He's going to have good fights there. You know, it's an outdoor arena. It's Southern California. We're the hotbed of boxing. Give Red Boxing a chance. Go and buy some tickets. Get your tickets. It's a reasonable price thing. I mean, if you guys want a nice night out with your family, enjoy the evening, take them to watch some good entertainment, here it is, Red Boxing.
And with Red Boxing, we are not like other club promotional companies where it's a week before the fight and there's no matchup yet. 3 days before the fight, there's no matchup yet. We match this fight up 3 weeks before everyone was. Some fights were matched up months before. Some got matched up 3 weeks. We completed the match in 3 weeks. That tells you that we give the opponent an opportunity to win. We want them to win. We want everybody to see a great show. You want to see a losing guy that everybody thought that he's gonna lose, change the perspective of boxing. Let's erase the Mayweather Syndrome. Mayweather is the only person that can do that. We have other undefeated fighters out there, you know, Rocky Marciano, Kazagani, something. You fought Roy Jones.
Just the Asian kid at 112 right now, or 108. I think he's like 53-0.
Yeah, so I mean, only a Mayweather can brand the way he branded it. If you have a loss, so be it. You stand up, because in life, that's how life is. You don't win all the time. You lose sometimes. It's not how many times you lose, you know. It's how many times you get up from that lose and change it into a win. And that's what we want to send a message to our fighters. If you're a B-side fighter, train. You have a chance to win. And if you are an A-side fighter, you train harder, because this B-side fighter is going to go get and kick your ass.
I mean, take Reese, for instance. Who in their right mind thought Andy Reese was going to go?
Can I read you this quote? So this is a quote from Ray. This cracked me up as I was watching an interview of yours regarding Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. It says, "Man, if I put you down 4 times, man, I whooped your ass."
Yeah.
That's
I mean, Andy.
They were talking about it being a fluke. They were talking about it being a fluke.
Like a one-time punch,
yeah, a lucky punch.
Lucky
and
punch
Ray
from
said,
God.
He said, if I put you down 4 times, man, I whipped your ass.
Yeah. And here's the thing with that, man. If we go out there in the parking lot, me and you, Ray, and you put me on my ass 4 times, 4 months from now, I'm not going to want to fight you again. Why? Because you're probably going to put me on my ass 5 times this time.
Exactly.
I don't think Joshua's mentally prepared for this fight, man. I honestly don't see it happening.
I really see Andy Ruiz is going to repeat history. Why? Because subconsciously, Anthony Joshua is going to defend himself, because it's already in his head that he's getting hit and he's going to get knocked out. Second, Andy Ruiz has more time to train right now. Third, Andy Ruiz has tasted success. And if you are on top, it's less crowded up there. You want to keep it there.
Andy Ruiz doesn't have to change anything about his game. His game works the first time.
Right.
Now it's up to Joshua to make whatever changes he's going to have to make to beat him. And I don't really know if he can.
Right.
I will say that Andy Ruiz, in terms of training, literally had just come off a professional victory 2 weeks prior to finding out. So even though the window of finding out about Anthony Joshua and participating in that bout was short, he actually had just come off a win on a PBC card 2 weeks before that.
Yeah.
So he had a full camp, then fought, and then took 2 weeks off, and then went back into camp.
And it's a little
He's
bit...
a well-trained individual. He's always well-trained, to be
Yeah, but
honest.
it's a little bit different for heavyweights as well because they don't have to worry about the weight cuts. Also,
No
I mean,
weight cut. Yeah. He knows. He's on it.
Stacks
right
knows
now.
all about it.
I'm not cutting no weight. I tried.
Stacks can tell you all about the heavyweights. Yeah.
But you also have to see in history. Remember, 1 year and a half, Mike Tyson fought 27 times. You know how many fight that is? 27 in a year and a half.
Yeah, that's mad.
And you can look up your history if I'm wrong.
Check this out. Ronald Johnson jumped on. What's up, Ronald?
What's going on,
He
Ronald?
said he wants Andy Ruiz. So maybe after Pico Rivera.
I don't know, because, I mean, Ron Johnson, to me, is the fastest heavyweight right now. Andy Ruiz is a strong heavyweight.
Yes.
So speed and power, I think that can be a good match we can make. We just have to talk to their camps.
In the Middle East, huh?
Probably.
Wherever.
We really don't know.
They're an international promoter.
Yeah.
Right?
We can do it anywhere. China, probably,
Hey,
because there are billions of peoples out there.
exactly.
You know.
Just a couple things. Jesse Padilla said, facts, respect. I'm not sure which part you're talking about, but I'm sure it's all facts. Marco Trejo is giving me an exclusive. Coach Marco says that Red Boxing is going to help me with the California Golden Gloves. Is that true?
We are here to help and build dreams. That has always been Rey Rodis' motto in life. That has always been my advocacy, is to build other people's dream. No one helped my dream. It doesn't have to be like I have to be an asshole and not build other people's dream. Because I don't want the next generation to be to work as hard as I did, you know. I want to give them an opportunity, a platform where they can grow and live their dreams. May that be in films, music, and boxing.
Speaking of which, I think it's time to learn a little bit more about our guest today, Rey Rodis. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, guys, it's ready for Stump Stacks. Stump Stacks, the game where we stump stacks with boxing facts. Here's how it works. I have pulled 3 pieces of information from recent interviews and biographies about Rey Rodis. I will relay them to Stacks. 2 of them are true. 1 of them is false. Are you ready to play Stump Stacks?
Let's do this.
His job is to guess which one is false. Poker face. Ray, poker face. There we go. Okay. Number 1. Long before Nonito Donaire adopted the moniker of the Filipino Flash, the nickname was tied to former world title challenger Rene Villacampo. Villacampo still holds the record for the longest reigning champion of the Philippines Games and Amusement Board and was regularly featured on cards promoted by Ray's grandfather and father. Number 2. A graduate of the School of Arts in Mindanao, I'm going to mess up that name, Mindanao, Philippines. Rey continued his education in arts and entertainment through on-the-job training at CHAL Production, where he worked as an assistant to Academy Award-winning actor Al Pacino. And number 3, formerly an undocumented immigrant, Rey entered the country just 10 years ago with only $300 in his pocket, sharing an identity with a friend to gain employment in the Venice Beach area. Stacks, which one is false?
The last one is false, man. I don't think he came with $300. I think he was already a millionaire when he got here.
Well, this is what I have to say to that. Oh, let's try that one more time. I keep muting myself.
You lose.
There we go.
Oh,
I got it. I got it. That is true, is it not?
It is true. I came here in the United States with $300 in my pocket. I was homeless, living in my car. You know, I worked hard, and I was sharing some other people's identity.
Let's not go into detail there. We're okay.
As you have said.
That is true. And it is also true that you were an assistant to Al Pacino.
Yes.
I have worked with child production for a year and a half. That's where I met a lot of big stars. And that's how I got inspired to make films.
Nice.
That first one is so made up that fighter doesn't even exist. I just made up that's not even a real fighter.
The last name I was
I just made up his name.
ooh.
What, number one?
Yeah. I made him up. That's not even a real fighter. I made him up.
The first thing was close to somebody, so
I mixed up a few other names
Yeah.
and some credentials there.
It sounded good. It sounded real good, man.
We
Especially
should-
because it was long. So
yeah, it sounded.
I was thinking like,
Yeah.
oh, I know Pancho Villa was a champion for a long time. I'm thinking of all these Filipino fighters. I'm thinking.
Oh man, I wish I would have got you to
Never
say.
know.
I know that first one is true. Anyways, here we go.
You lose.
Man,
Oh man, Melody, as someone who does media for Red Boxing, I know yesterday you guys hosted a media event for the October 12th where you guys were doing media workouts and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened yesterday?
So yesterday we started doing media workouts for I probably think our 3 or 4 of our last promotions that we held, and we also do a short press conference before. So we kind of like do both at the same time, just so people get to know who these fighters are because they are local, most of them. This card is since it's a little bit bigger. We couldn't get as many of our fighters there, but most of the local ones came out. But it's just to get to know our fighters and put them on display, give them some spotlight, and let people know who they are.
And they are open to the public?
Yes, and they are open to all fighters. We don't just A-side. We're not. A lot of guys were telling me that they didn't come because they didn't know if the invitation was extended to them. No, we extend the invitation to all our fighters on the card.
So we can, like Shannon Briggs, I can go and just start calling out
Champ,
Eduardo.
champ. Yes,
Let's go,
you
champ.
can. Let's
go,
go, champ. Yes, it is open to the
Oh,
public.
man.
Yes, all their family, friends. It's a family thing. of course.
Ray, can we produce a TV show called Let's Go Champ, which is like a buddy thing with Shannon, a reality show? It'll be Shannon Briggs and Vladimir Klitschko. Let's Go Champ.
But speaking to that, we are already filming right now. It's a docu-series about boxing. The title of the film is 10 Counts with 8 episodes. It will be on different platforms like
It's going to be a docuseries.
It's going to be a docuseries. It's going to be the journey of a fighter to become a world champion. We have to understand the hardship, the science behind any fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's not good without his team behind him. And his team needs his team behind him, like the doctors, nutritionists, cryotherapy. All those things equates. So we want to show that side of boxing, not just the glamour of boxing.
one thing I heard you just say is cryotherapy. You've been a member of the boxing community. You've been around boxing all your life, 3 generations deep, of course, as we've already heard. Do you feel that this new science with nutritionists, with cryotherapy and everything makes these fighters tougher than the fighters back in the 80s? Is it just something that, because we grew up with the people like Chavez and with Leonard and with Hearns and Duran, does this give them a new advantage?
The word tougher would be unfair for the old fighters because they fought like 15 rounds. I still remember that. Then I remember my dad was one of the committee when they tried to change it to 12 rounds because there was too many deaths, you know? So I think the toughness is not even the question there because both generations are tough. It's about preserving the fighters. Why do you think Manny Pacquiao can still fight at 40? It's because of science, you know, the nutrition he eats, the cryotherapy, you know, the things that he does outside the ring. If he would be training without those sciences, he would be done at 34.
But he said the salt water healed them, man.
It's
I'm just saying.
It's even harder for
I get what you're saying, though.
older fighters to try to get them converted into this new stuff, into cryotherapy, because they're like, well, I don't need it. Strength and conditioning, we don't need it. No, you do. I don't know if you do or not, but I mean, I see, you know, them doing it, or meal prepping, stuff like that, because a lot of Filipino fighters they don't even
They don't understand
diet.
that.
No, they don't diet. They just eat normal and they're just on weight, ready to go at all times. So I don't know if it's just a new thing. I mean, guess we'll find out.
Was it in here that we had a fighter? I don't
know that
remember.
fighter
There was a fighter that recently had just told me that he was losing weight, and he was losing weight and cutting weight, and he wasn't feeling well. He couldn't make weight, and it's because I think it was you, and even you saying it. But even though you're not a professional athlete, just the way you were cutting weight and not getting the right nutrients in your body made you feel like shit, man.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I went about losing weight entirely in the wrong way. I think I lost something like 25 pounds, but with no knowledge of nutrition at all. So meaning I stopped eating certain things. I worked out vigorously, and I thought I was crushing it. I was like, oh man, I just dropped 25 pounds.
You are killing it, but yourself.
I know. I was,
Killing yourself.
and then I got so lethargic, like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even work out anymore. So I went to the doctor and was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "Well, how are you doing this?" And I was like, "I just cut my intake in half. I eat half of whatever I ate before." And he was like, "You can't do that." It's like you have to eat protein. You have to like measure things out. Like I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay, your
You
guys
gotta know how to do it right.
Your guys' media days. Where do you guys pick where you're having your media day at?
You know, we give opportunity for every boxing gym out there. We would like to. We were once at Maywood. We were once at NGBA. Now we are at El Moreno gym. Then the next time we'll be in another gym. The reason we wanna hop into different gym, because we're not only showcasing the fighters as well. We would like also to help advertise the people who made this fighter, the people behind this fighter. And doing it in their gym gives them that Red Boxing cares for them, that Red Boxing is gonna help them.
Okay, because the owner of this gym, Marco Trejo, just opened up this
just
gym
invited
for
you guys
He
to do
invited
one
you
here.
guys to do a media workout here. So whenever you guys want to host a media workout here, get in contact with Marco Trejo. You guys are more than welcome to use the gym and have a media workout here.
Yes.
Also,
sounds good.
Eduardo used to train here, and I will not confirm or deny that he has beat me up in the past. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just.
I think.
I'm not going to put it out.
When did you leave here?
2015, I believe.
2015.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Are you doing math or something?
No,
in your head?
he looks familiar, man. Like when we first started doing the show, there was a kid kind of looked like him working out in the ring with, who was it with? Maybe his dad or something. You remember? It's like I don't know.
He was just what was that kid's name who used to work out back here? No, you don't know?
One time in 2000.
That
one
one
time,
time, a long time ago.
No.
Oh my goodness. So we talked about a lot in terms of like modern fighters and some of the things that are available to them in terms of nutritionists and strength and conditioning. Do you utilize any of that as part of your program? Do you have, for instance, a strength and conditioning coach?
I do. That's the one I mentioned. Carlos.
Okay.
And then I'm actually probably maybe Tuesday. I'm gonna try cryo for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I could be able to tell you if I feel a difference or not.
And make sure you wear your socks too, man. I think there was a football player that showed his feet. Was it Antonio
Oh,
Brown?
and he got frostbite.
Where he got
Oh,
frostbite
yeah, yeah.
and his
That.
feet just
That's
started.
right.
The skin just started peeling off of his feet, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna scare him away
Yeah.
from doing cryo and say he just
He
changed.
warned
He
him.
just
Wear
changed his
socks.
mind.
Just making sure, man. I was just
Yeah.
warning you, man.
Right.
He just changed his mind about doing cryo for sure.
Okay, pumping up fights, man. The shit talking, the back and forth, right? How far is too far for you guys, man? As far as a fighter goes, as far as a promotion company, as far as somebody that's involved with the media, when do you guys think that you overcross the line? Is there certain words, certain topics, such as religion, such as family, that that line just shouldn't be crossed when it comes to, the banter back and forth between the fighters?
Or trash talking.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have no comment on that. Maybe.
Me?
I think you hit a sore spot, man.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think there is.
No?
I think if we want to go far back and look to the guys that started it all, I mean maybe there is a limit. I should say there is no limit.
Does it translate to more money for the fighters?
Oh, that,
I mean, to hype up the fight, I
mean-
guess it does, but
Mike Tyson at one point said he's gonna eat Evander Holyfield's children. You know,
Right. He's got the best quotes, Tyson.
Like, I would say there's a line, but then at the same time, it's like what they were saying. It promotes the fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it translates to more money for the fighters, then
Yeah.
And what about?
but we don't want to promote the fight by disrespecting a religion. We don't want to
By
promote a
hate
fight.
comments.
You know,
Yeah, that's
we're,
true.
We're trying to build hate. We're trying to build a foundation. This is a sport, man. We're building people's dream. It is his dream and it's his opponent's dream. Now, who is more hungrier now? Who wants to take that dream to the next level? You know? After the fight, they're going to be hugging each other.
And,
You know?
And sometimes I think that teams get too involved
Yeah.
over this.
Oh,
That's where I think
There's-
maybe everybody needs to know that
Well-
this is where it's going to stay, because we obviously just saw how horribly
Yeah.
wrong that went. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
I saw that.
We just saw, like,
Yeah.
that
So-
that didn't go work
I think you
well.
guys are going to the same place. Coach Marco Trejo said trash talking is good, but the limit is violence outside the ring, which is what we
That's what
experienced
they need to know.
earlier
that
this
it's,
week.
Yeah, it's a component to use to scare your opponent. Of course, I get that, but your whole team needs to know that that's
There's-
where it ends.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure all you guys seen this past Thursday, there was a heated argument that happened on stage between the coach of Clarissa Shields' opponent and between her sister. That led to Bashir Ali, the trainer, getting knocked out. He was sucker punched from behind. He was knocked out cold. He ended up with several facial fractures, ended up going into emergency surgery. And honestly, there's no place for that. And this is a 70-year-old man. He's been in the sport a long time. He's been or was Emmanuel Stewart's assistant since 1971. He's known in the community. Things got heated on stage. I'm not going to get into everything that I know onto what happened on stage. And I just think that when you have people in your team that are hotheads, whether it's a family member, whether it's somebody just in your entourage, that's where you, as a fighter or the manager of that fighter, has to say, hey, you guys need to cut your shit,
Right.
calm down, because we have to all make money. Clarissa Shields lost out on a big payday.
Yep.
And
the
because
promotion probably got hurt too.
yeah, everybody lost money. Not just her, Showtime, the people selling tickets, everything. It was the fans, you know, because women's boxing right now is struggling to survive.
Well,
And
La Cobra Ruiz is gonna change that.
I really hope so, man.
I know so.
I hope so. And with those type of actions, there's no
Makes
place
it
for it.
more. Yep.
You know, and to me, I think as a fighter, if you know what happened, and I'm not saying that you have to get into details about the whole situation, but if it was somebody from your entourage, if it was a family member that did it, you need to step up and apologize and make things better instead of trying to hide the truth or get on and start blaming everybody else or saying, hey, they're not from my camp, I don't know shit, you're lying, you're doing this, you're doing that. And just take responsibility. It could have all been resolved a lot better than what it was, but that entire fiasco Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening was just a crock of shit on Clarissa's part.
It was horrible.
No.
The reaction video that came out
it
was
was
terrible
bad.
for her. Yep.
It was bad.
I think she even thought maybe the fight was still going to go on because she was just. I mean,
I know-
she didn't help at all.
I know there was people that I know that were there that would offer to fight her and then offered to step into the main event bout, and it just because Showtime didn't want to pay that money, it didn't come to fruition. You know,
And it is not a good idea or not good for the promotion. If I was a promotion, I would cancel it as well. It would not look good on their image.
Of course, there was another fight that took place this weekend on the same evening that was scheduled to be the Triple G fight with Sergey Derevyanchenko. Stax, you and I went back and forth on Facebook about that fight. Did you guys watch that fight at
Yeah.
all?
I just did, yeah.
Yeah, you
last
just
night.
watched it last night? Did you watch it?
I just saw highlights.
You just saw highlights? So I think the gist of your point initially, Stax, was that your impression was, without scoring it, that Sergey was running away with that fight. Then you went back and you rescored it.
Correct.
And I think you came up with a different impression.
yeah. I didn't think he ran away with it, and my impression after I watched it. Okay, we'll start with the first part. I watched it without scoring it, right? And I think that I got so caught up into Triple G being the boogeyman and being somebody that just goes in there and dominates every fight, except, of course, against Canelo, where those were two very highly contested fights. I expected something completely different out of Triple G last night, and that's not what I got. I got a fighter in Derevyanchenko that actually took the fight, was the aggressor, and was taking the fight to Triple G. And because of that, my mindset was that Triple G was automatically losing that fight, because I'm used to seeing Triple G handle his opponents a lot better than he handled them. I felt that Derevyanchenko was running away with the fight. Triple G won it. I went back, I rewatched it, I scored it. I still had Derevyanchenko winning by 1 round, but I did tell you that there was 5 rounds between the 6th and the 11th round that could have gone either way. So with Triple G winning, I don't have a problem with that. I'm a big Triple G fan, as you guys know. I've liked Triple G for a long time. I don't feel he won that fight, but I don't necessarily mind that he won. I don't see it as a controversial, win. I don't see it as a controversial loss for Derevyanchenko. I don't see it as he was robbed. It wasn't a robbery. That's what the judges saw. And as I explained in one of my posts, when you sit ringside without commentary, you don't have those angles as you do on TV, where you can see every punch landing clearly, and the replays that are going back on television, plus the commentary. You're sitting there and you're watching from one angle. Sometimes the ref's in the way, sometimes their backs are towards you. You don't see every shot landing like you do on television. So, you have to understand the judges don't have CompuBox numbers going in front of them every round. They don't have the television replays. They don't have the commentary. So when I showed you those cards, those judges' scorecards were all over the place. Not one was the same as all 3 judges had completely different scorecards, and every round had different scores to it. They were everywhere.
Yeah, but a lot of that is also just because it's not that they didn't have the advantage of replay and they didn't have the angles and they didn't have. It's also just because it was a close fight and it was hard to judge, right? So like you look at the rounds, and there were some rounds in there that were tough. And the way that when you look at Mannix's card, for instance, and Mannix has the same as you, he had Derevyanchenko winning, I think, by 1 point in the end. But in order to get there, there was a span of 8 rounds where he had to give Sergey Derevyanchenko 7 of 8. And you look at that and you go, I just know that didn't happen, right? Like, you're watching the fight. You know it's so close. You know that he didn't win 7 of 8 rounds in a row on the judges' scorecards. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not like, oh, well, Triple G won because they didn't have all the right angles. At the end of the day, he won because it was close and either fighter could have won. Yeah. I think it was a great fight for fans. I think Triple G gets a lot of discredit. Like, people say things like Mannix kept saying he's getting older. He's getting older, which obviously he is. I mean, I can't debate that, right? But he keeps saying he's getting older, and it shows up in the numbers. You look at the punch stats, and he takes more punches than he ever did. He lands less punches than he ever did. Yeah, you also know who he fought in the last 2 years? He fought Canelo twice. He fought Danny Jacobs, and he fought Sergey Derevyanchenko, who also pushed Danny Jacobs to the limit, right? Well, that's not the same as look at the 2 people who he fought that weren't those guys. Vanes Martirosyan, dispatched, right? His last fight, dispatched. He looked just like Triple G. That's what happens when you step up in competition. You get hit more, and it's harder to hit the other opponent.
This is where your Mayweather syndrome comes into effect, like Marco Trejo just said. In these type of losses, and the type of loss that Porter had against Spence, and the type of loss that Derevyanchenko had last night, they don't lose anything. Their stock actually rises because now they know that they can fight that top level of competition, have a hell of a fight the way Porter did against Spence and the way this kid did against Triple G last night.
And that's how we look at it during the 80s and the early 90s.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to Marco's point, both their stock rises. The reason I didn't go back and rescore the fight is because I didn't feel I needed to. I think if I had rescored the fight, it could have come out one way or the other, and you could make a compelling case either way because so many rounds were close. I could have gone back and rescored it and still said, oh, well, 10 of those rounds were close, so I don't know who actually won.
I think I did, but just for my own sanity because, like I said...
Well, because you were way off first time.
Yeah, I was way off. I had him just running away with the fight. I didn't think it was close.
He sent me a message after 9 rounds on Facebook and said, Triple G needs a knockout to win. And I was like, I think you're a little bit off base. I tried to say it nicely, though.
Yeah,
I tried not to say
that
you didn't know what you were talking about.
You should have.
If your scorecards are
what are you talking about,
your
bro?
scorecards, when you do your scorecards, and you're like a point off, obviously it could go either way. You can't just be like, because I'm his fan.
Yeah.
That's it. But sometimes you have to rescore and rewatch it.
Yeah, I rewatched it because, like I said, the first time I didn't score it, I just watched it. But I had that mentality going into it, being a Triple G fan. The Triple G fans just Triple G's going to go in there and kick his ass, and he did it. And the fight was getting taken to him. So in my eyes, basically, it's like he's losing because I'm not used to seeing this. So. Wait a minute, is he, once you said, I'm like, well, fuck, is he really losing?
No.
Or no, you know what I mean?
I was trying to tell you, it's close,
Triple G walking backwards, during the rounds so long. And me too, I thought like, oh my gosh, he's getting his ass kicked.
And then getting hurt.
He was hurt, that is true. He was hurt.
But then, I think body shots were really hurting him.
Yes.
But then when I was watching the highlights later on, and I was watching, him get some good hits in there, some uppercuts that I was like, oh my god, that could have knocked that guy out.
And I think one of the commentators had it dead on when they said, even though Derevyanchenko's landing the power shots, just a normal punch with no effort from Triple G can be considered a power shot.
Yeah, just look at the cat at the end of the fight and tell me he didn't take some damage. You know what I mean? Like there was some back and forth action going on there, and that's Derevyanchenko was basically both eyes were closed.
And in my notes, that's where I had put. New York needs replay.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Because that was not caused by a headbutt. That cut was not caused by a headbutt.
My feeling horrible. Is in any sport, your main objective should be, as a referee, as an official, as an sanction, your main objective should be to get the outcome right. Right? It should be to get the outcome right. So if the rules of your oversight would cause you to get the outcome wrong, you should have discretion to violate that policy, because at the end of the day, they said it was caused by a headbutt. It was not caused by a headbutt. They were informed that it was not caused by a headbutt, and they said, we stand by the referee because that's what our rules, that's what our guidelines are. We don't have replay here. And my response to that is bullshit. Just look at the replay and make a call, make a judgment call and say, hey, you know what? We care more about getting the right outcome than we do about what
standing behind
the rules
Harvey Dog,
yeah, exactly,
who was having an off night.
Exactly, like he stopped the round like 10 seconds early.
There was two
when Derevyanchenko was up against the ropes and getting landed on with the combination. He stopped the round 10 seconds early.
And then there was a part of the fight where Derevyanchenko was landing some hard body shots on G. And he stepped in the middle and said,
yes, that's what I was like, wait a minute.
Get him up.
Who's paying this guy?
And Harvey Dog, man, I've seen him in numerous world title fights. He's a veteran ref, and it's just have an off night. Last night he had an off night.
Yeah, your objective should be to get the call right. Imagine if that goes to the scorecard and Triple G loses after 9 rounds.
Because of the cut.
Because of the cut, when the cut was caused by a punch. Imagine what the reaction and the backlash to that would be. You got the call wrong. It's fine. Just say you got it wrong. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it worked perfectly with Tyson Fury.
Right. They could have talked to him and said, okay, this is what happened, Harvey. You need to give us the okay to overturn it.
It worked perfectly with Tyson Fury. Worked perfectly. They went to the replay, except for the fact that they didn't notify the corner. They went to the replay, which is a big oversight. But they went to the replay and they said, "Oh, actually, that was a punch.
It was a punch.
Your fight is in danger."
Yeah.
So, I agree. I couldn't agree more with that.
Tickets. Where can fans buy tickets for this event, Melody?
They can go online to ticketon.com. Or our fighters, of course, they also have tickets if you want to, you're in their gym or of them. We try and push our fighters out as much as we can on social media. But, of course, you can always DM us, and we got them too.
At the door as well.
At the door, yes.
At the door,
yes.
Through the fighters, at the door, online, at Tickets On, DMing them in social media. Red Boxing on social media, Malady Doria on social media. You can find them. Get tickets, man. This is going to be a big event this Saturday night. Pico Rivera Sports Arena is going to be packed. It's an outdoor arena. Like I said, it's family fun for everybody. Get out there, get your tickets, support Red Boxing. They're supporting local fighters. They're giving them a platform to get out there and show their skills and show their want to get in there, the ring, and to be the next champion. So you guys gotta get out there and support as boxing fans, as a boxing community. Let's make this happen. Just because it's not Golden Boy or Top Rank. I think too many times, I'm going to say it, these casual fans get locked up in this, we need a big fight. And what I mean by that is that if you take something like Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, for instance, there's only about 20 to 30,000 die-hard boxing fans, but yet that fight sold 4.5 million when everybody knew what the outcome was going to be, right? 4.5 million pay-per-views. Everybody knew what that outcome was going to be. Right. It wasn't a very good fight, except for my man over here, Ray, that probably put 10,000 on Pacquiao. But the thing is boxing's not dead. It's actually alive and well, and not just on DAZN and not just on ESPN Plus, but in these local communities. You have an international promotional company bringing some of the best fights to Los Angeles. You guys got to get out there and support them.
And when you purchase a ticket, you're not purchasing a ticket. You're purchasing a dream for these kids. Mm-hmm. We were able to give them a chance, and for you buying the tickets from them, it gives us an opportunity to do more shows as well. So your $55 is buying someone else's dream.
And you guys do tables.
We do have tables.
Well, you guys do tables, right?
Yeah, bottle service too?
Yes.
Yes, at our exclusive tables, yes.
Sold.
Yes. But
I'll be there.
Also for our $35 tickets, because they aren't assigned seating, children under 6, I don't even know what we're doing anymore, 8, they're free. We're not charged. We don't have a child's admission. So for the $35 tickets, there's no excuse for, you don't have a babysitter.
Bring your kid with you.
It's a family event,
Yeah.
All right. I think that about covers it. We got anything else? Where should we follow you, Eduardo?
On Instagram is Real Torito Diaz.
Okay. Do you have a Facebook?
Nah.
No? It's okay. I'm not with it. Forgive me, because I'm still learning how to use all of the social media platforms.
Yeah.
I learned how to use Instagram. I don't have a Twitter yet. I'll figure it out.
Twitter's the big one, brother.
Is it really?
Yes.
Boxing.
I was on Facebook, and everybody told me I had to get an Instagram, so I opened an Instagram. Now everybody tells me I need to have a Twitter.
Yep.
I don't know how you guys do all this. Yeah, I need to have a melody
They have a
around.
me.
Yeah, I was going to say I need to have a melody
That's
around
why
to manage the various Facebook and
Social
Twitter
media
accounts.
sites, yeah.
It's impossible.
My
Goodness. And what about you guys? What should we follow? At Official Red Boxing?
Yeah, and Rey Rodis on IG and also on Facebook.
See, IG. I don't even call it IG.
IG.
I'm so not with it, man. I'm not with it. Okay, IG. Okay, what's your IG?
My IG, Red Boxing IG, is official_Red
There we go.
Boxing. And then Facebook, we have our Facebook page. But mine personal is Beauty and Boxing. And on Twitter, it's Red Boxing International.
Okay.
And the same, the Beauty of Boxing.
Oh, man. I got to get with this account stuff. Do you have all that stuff? You have a Twitter?
Got it all, man. Twitter, everything.
You have a Twitter?
And I run 3 different accounts.
Why don't you run mine? Why do I have to do this?
We got 7 over here.
Wow.
And that's
Tell her
7.
my account. What is it?
We got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. We got it all.
I'm over here YouTubing how to post things on Facebook.
I forgot about our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel also.
I follow your YouTube channel,
yes.
yeah. But of course, you can follow me at Just Boxing Live on Instagram and at Just Boxing Live on Facebook. I want to say thank you to Combat Sports Collective. You can see their waters up here, but they offer all sorts of apparel and services, including photography, videography, CBD, waters, oils, etc. So follow Combat Sports Collective on Instagram. And that's it for Just Boxing Live today.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Peace.